Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Cambium Networks. Today's host is John Mead, and he is their Senior Director of Engineering and Product Development, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and John will answer them at the end of today's presentation. John, I'm finished for now. Thank you so much for being with us today. You can go ahead and take it on over.
Great. Thank you very much, Julie. I appreciate it. Hello, everybody. Thanks for attending. Thanks for your time. I'll do a quick, brief intro. So I'm John Mead. I've been at Cambium Networks for about 2.5 years. It feels like 2.5 months. The time has raced by. I came on board to develop this Ethernet switching portfolio that we have. And today I'm going to talk about our latest release that's coming out as we speak. And this is release 3.0. So I'm going to highlight a few other items, but mainly focus on what 3.0 delivers for all of us. All right, so today I'm going to cover just a high-level overview of CN Matrix. I'm going to kind of double click on one of our key features called policy-based automation. And then I'm going to review the 3.0 release. Includes new hardware, new accessories, and new software. I'll wrap it up with a quick summary, and that will be about it. It should be a short 30-minute webinar, and afterwards I can stay on as long as you'd like for Q&A. Okay, jumping right into it. So shown here on the left side is Cambium's portfolio for the enterprise edge. It's a very comprehensive portfolio. In this picture, these switches that are shown, 4 of these switches are the new switches that are part of 3.0. So with all these switches, with these access points, with the cloud management solution, it really gives us a great portfolio for the enterprise edge of the network. Providing connectivity for wired connectivity, wireless connectivity, and a full cloud management solution. So the switches that I'm going to focus on today, these switches absolutely are enterprise grade. So L2, L3 capable switches, fiber uplink ports, 4 10 gig fiber uplink ports. Some switches out there, you'll see 2 fiber uplinks, and they might only be 1 gig uplinks. But anyway, full fiber uplinks, L3 switching capability, advanced features such as PBA, and so on. Enterprise grade switching. Also, we offer cloud management. So cloud management is fairly popular on Wi-Fi devices. It's become very popular over the last few years. There's also a little bit of cloud management available for some of the switches at some of the switching vendors, but it's not fully adopted yet. It's not as common. At Cambium, we have cloud management for both our wireless solution as well as our wired solution with the CN Matrix switches. So with our cloud management solution, CN Maestro, you can manage all of your Cambium devices, wired and wireless, with a single pane of glass. Now, policy-based automation. Policy-based automation is an automated way to do all of your provisioning and configuration that's very simple and secure. And I'm going to double click on this feature in a couple of slides. It's every feature that I talk about today, every capability that I talk about today is included in the base price of the switch. There is no licensing, there is no subscription model. You get everything for one base cost. If you add into that our limited lifetime warranty, which is a 5-year warranty, really superior support. You add all that up, you really do get best in class total cost of ownership for this edge solution. Okay, so now I'm going to spend a little bit of time on PBA and double click here and talk to you about PBA and explain what it can do for you. Policy-based automation gives you a very secure way to automate your provisioning. It's very simple, and it gives you a total cost of ownership that is very, very competitive. So from a security point of view, the first thing we do is every device that connects into the switch we automatically gather information about that. We get things like MAC address, the LLDP or link layer discovery protocol that is exchanged between the devices and the switch. We gather all that information. So anyway, so we gather all this information about that device. It allows us to profile that device. And we can develop policies, user-created policies, that look for this information. And based on the device type, we do automated policy enforcement. So one example of this is device segmentation. So when the device connects into the network, we will automatically, or when it connects into the switch, we will automatically segment that device into the correct VLAN. Now, these policies that are created will do a lot more than just put devices on the right VLAN. We control things like quality of service, PoE port priority. We can auto-label these ports and other priority settings as well. The last element of security that I think is very important is what happens when you remove the device. So when you connect to the device, we auto-profile it, we auto-enforce these policies. But when you remove the device, what's very, very important is that you clean up that configuration. So one, you want to keep your config file clean and easy to maintain. But two, you don't want to leave this configuration dangling. Let's say a port is open to some sensitive VLANs. You don't want to leave those VLANs open for other devices to connect into. So when you unplug a device, you automatically clean up that configuration. So simplicity. So what this does for you is gives you a true zero-touch experience. So when you initially deploy your switches, there's some basic configuration that you want to stage your devices with. We can automate that. So when the device, when the switch connects into the network and onboards with our CNMaestro Cloud Management, we automatically get the initial configuration during the onboarding process. But more than just the initial deployment, we can also make available a zero-touch experience for daily operations whenever you add devices or move devices or make changes to those devices. All of that is completely zero touch. In addition, every port is created equal. So when you create a policy for a certain type of device, let's say you're creating a policy for video surveillance cameras. Okay, so you have a policy and you want to put your video surveillance traffic onto a certain VLAN, so on and so forth. So when that policy exists, that policy gets applied to all ports. So it doesn't matter what port you plug that video surveillance camera into. You can plug it into port 1, you can plug it into port 10, it doesn't matter. When we auto-profile that device, we automatically profile it, we automatically detect it, we automatically apply the policy to that device. Now, not only can you plug that video surveillance camera into port 1 or port 10 or port 15, whichever port you want, you can also plug in multiple of these video surveillance cameras. So you can plug in 2 cameras or 5 cameras or 10 cameras. And you can plug these devices into any port of any switch in your network. If you have 1 switch, great. If you have 100 switches, it doesn't matter. Plug these devices into any port of any switch. The policy, the device will be profiled. The policy will be matched and applied to that port and that switch. Okay, total cost of ownership. So when you think about all of this, it really does lower your total operational costs of operating your network. So the biggest item here is that PBA eliminates the error-prone and very time-consuming manual configuration. So when it does come time to connect new devices into your switches or to remove devices, you no longer have to manually log into the switch and do anything. So for your IT team, you no longer need a trained IT staff member to do these adds, moves, and changes. The IT team is already very, very busy doing other things, so this is one less thing they now have to do. So overall, PBA reduces the time, energy, and costs required for the management of the network. All right, moving on. Okay, so let me talk more about our 3.0 program. I'll give you an overview of what the program is and status. Okay, so what is 3.0? Well, first of all, it's new hardware. We have 4 new hardware SKUs. I know the picture only shows 3, but second SKU there, actually there's 2 of them. I'll talk more about it later, but anyway, they look exactly the same from the front. So 4 new switches. What else is in 3.0? Well, we have lots of new accessories. The biggest one that I want to highlight for you is new transceivers. So for the last year and a half now that we've been shipping these switches, I've been asked probably several times a week, hey, do you have Cambium branded transceivers? My answer was always no, but we support any transceiver from any third-party vendor. Just make sure you use a transceiver from a trusted vendor. Well, now my answer is yes, we do carry our own Cambium branded transceivers. We have 1 gig, 10 gig, long reach, short reach transceivers, as well as copper-based transceivers. Another accessory that we have is removable power supplies, which is needed by one of our new SKUs. I'll talk more about that later. So in addition to the new hardware platforms, the new accessories, we also have a long list of new software features. The biggest one that I'm going to highlight today is the new enterprise view within CM Maestro. We've always supported CM Maestro, but now we have a new enterprise view, which gives you a really nice GUI, and it gives you virtual tech. I'll double click on that in a couple slides. Okay, so when is 3.0 available? Well, it's this new hardware will start shipping in April. So the hardware will be physically located in our distribution center in Shanghai in mid-April. It's actually available to order now. Okay, so let's talk about the new switches. So 3 of the 4 new SKUs is our 48 port solution. So when I say 48 ports, or when I talk about our 24 port switches, same thing. That's how many access ports we have. We also have 4 10 gig fiber uplink as well. So this is actually a 52 port switch. Anyway, we have 3 versions of this switch. The first version, highlighted in red here, is your typical non-PoE switch. So we have 48 ports that do not supply any PoE power, your basic switch. The second option that we have is a PoE capable switch, and this version has an internal power supply. It's inside the switch. It's fixed. You can't remove it. You can't replace it. And this is very similar to our other switches that have PoE capability with internal power supplies. What's new for us that we haven't done before that we're really excited about, a lot of buzz with our customers, is this third option. So this third option does not have an internal power supply. It uses a removable power supply that slides into the back. It's removable by the customer, by the end customer, by anybody. You just slide it into the back. So this removable power supply gives you a lot of flexibility. One, if you have problems with your power supply, it's easy to change it. You don't have to swap out the switch. But really, it gives you a great migration story. If you buy a power supply with a certain amount of PoE power budget, and you have that power budget for the existing devices in your network, but let's say you start using new devices or more devices that draw more power. Well, you don't have to go out and buy a new switch that has new power. You just have to upgrade your power supply. Now, we have 6 versions. 3 are AC versions and 3 are DC versions. And it gives you a PoE power budget anywhere from 500 watts up to 1,000. Okay, so that's 3 of our 4 new SKUs. Our 4th SKU is an exciting one. This is our multi-gig switch, and three main items with this switch. So we decided to come out with a hybrid solution. Gives you the high performance of these 802.3BZ capable ports, but it also keeps it at a low cost. So these multi-gig switches, they first started coming out when they came out with the 802.11 AC Wave 2 access points. In theory, that standard could support more than a gig of traffic. So they developed this new standard, 802.3BZ, which can support 2.5 gig or even up to 5 gig on your access ports. Now, the 11 AC access points in theory could draw more than a gig, but they actually didn't. However, with the new Wi-Fi 6 standard or the .11ax access points, they really will draw more than a gig of bandwidth. So this switch supports 802.3BZ, supports up to 2.5 gig on some of the ports. So Every device that connects into your switch, you don't need 2.5 gig. You need it for your access points, but your connections to your printer, your connections to the individual cubes in your office, you don't need that increased bandwidth. So anyway, we have 8 ports of your standard 1 gig access ports. We have 6 ports of the new 2.5 gig capable ports. And one thing to note on those 6 ports, the PUE on those ports, we also upped that to support 60 watts per port instead of the industry standard 30. So 802.3 AF AT supports up to 30 watts. The new standard 802.3 BT, where you get 4 pair PUE, that you can go above 30 watts. In this case, we support up to 60 watts on those 6 ports. In addition, we also have the 2 fiber uplinks, 2 10 gig fiber uplinks. Okay, so what does this do for you? Well, one, it gives you the bandwidth that you need for your new 11AX access points. That's the big win here. Cambium is coming out with an 11AX capable access point very, very soon. And it also gives you a flexible environment. It gives you both 1 gig ports for your typical types of devices, or it gives you your 2.5 gig ports for your more advanced. Okay. So in addition to the new accessories, in addition to the new switches, we also added new software support to our 3.0. We have a list of software features. I'm not going to go through all of them today, but the one that I want to highlight is the enhancements and improvements we made to Scene Maestro. Now, Scene Maestro has always been able to manage Scene Matrix. We go through the onboarding, registration, monitoring, configuration, troubleshooting. We support all aspects of Scene Maestro. However, with configuration up until now, we only supported template-based configuration, which is basically CLI scripts. And some people love it. Some people will never change. They want to continue to use these CLI-based templates. However, some people want a nice GUI interface, which is similar to what we have in Scene Maestro for our access points. So anyway, so with 3.0, we support the new Scene Maestro version that has a very nice GUI for our Scene Matrix switches. So this new account type within Scene Maestro is called Enterprise View. And it replaces an older type that used to be called Wireless LAN. But this Enterprise View is really set up for enterprise deployments that have a wired and wireless solution with both our Cambium access points as well as our Cambium Ethernet switches. So it gives you a very nice GUI-based configuration for Scene Matrix. It provides a very user-friendly cloud-based interface for configuration and monitoring. And it makes it very easy to deploy this solution from Cambium, this solution that covers both wired and wireless together. So it's a single management platform. And again, Scene Maestro is very nice. You can run Scene Maestro out in the cloud, or if you want to run it on premise, you can also. And it's the exact same management interface. We don't have 2 different tools, one for the cloud, one for on-premise. It's the same for both. Okay, so this Enterprise View, what does it give you? It gives you virtual stacking as well. So when you're managing your switches, you can create groups of switches, or we call these virtual stacks. So all of your switches that you want to bundle together, let's say all the switches on one floor of your building, you want to make a group of those switches. Or let's say you have a campus, multiple buildings. All the switches in one building can be in one virtual stack. All the switches in another building can be in another virtual stack. Or all the switches on a per wiring closet basis can be in a virtual stack. So anyway, with these virtual stacks, you're managing these multiple units. Let's say there's 10 units in a virtual stack. You're managing all 10 units as if it was one unit. So if you have 10 48 port units, it's actually 52 ports. So if you have 10 of those switches, that's 520 ports. It's like you're managing a single device with 520 ports. Now, you can configure them as if they were one. When you create a VLAN, it gets created on all switches that are a member of that virtual stack. You can monitor stats across all ports of all of those switches. And all switches will have this common configuration, and they will be auto-synced. So whatever configuration you have defined on your cloud management, on your Scene Maestro interface, it will keep all those switches in sync. So let me kind of double click and share some screenshots with you of seeing Maestro. I apologize there. It's a little bit small, so I apologize for this small print. But I'll walk through these with you quickly. Um, so this is the system dashboard that you see within CN Maestro. And this is my account. In the upper right-hand side, you can see, John Mead. This is my account. Now, my account, I might have access points in my account. I might have switches in my account. I might have switches that are spread all across my campus. I might have switches located at different campuses. Or I might be managing multiple customers. So I could have switches for customer A, customer B, customer C. So I only have 11 switches in my network, but anyway, up in the upper left-hand section here, you can see that there's a total of 11 devices. That might be access points, might be switches. In this case, they're all switches. Now it tells you right there, it tells you 11 total, but 2 of them are offline. It also tells you that if you move to the right a little bit as well. It also tells me that I have 6 switch groups or 6 virtual stacks down on the left a little bit. But this is a very high level view and gives you just a glimpse. If you look in the far right, the connection health, it has a little blip there. So in the last 24 hours, it shows that one of my switches went off. Or actually 2 of my switches, one of my switches went offline and then it came back on. So it gives you high level indication like that. If I was to scroll down this screen, this is just a screen snapshot, but on the left-hand side, it gives you your alarms and notifications. So very high-level view for your overall account. Now, if I want to dive down a little bit deeper, I can look at all the devices in my account. Okay, so right here, I see a long list of switches, and it gives me, it's like an Excel spreadsheet, right? So let me tell you, really easy to manipulate this view. I can sort on one of the columns, just like Excel. I can filter on one of the columns, just like Excel. If I had a live demo here, I could show you. I could say, I only want to see switches that are online, or I only want to see switches that are offline. Now, in this view that I have here, I have sorted this list based on the switch group or virtual stack. So I have a group at work. It's called John's New Desk. And now that I'm working from home, I have 3 switches at home, and I've made a group of switches out of those, and those are called John's Home. Okay, so anyway, so this is a very nice view of all the devices in my account. And with this view, like Excel, it makes it very easy for you to manipulate it, show the columns, sort the columns, filter the columns, and so on. Okay, so here is, if I click on one of those devices, I can drill down into the detail of those devices. And I wish I had a live demo for you, but anyway, it gives you a view of this one switch. So I clicked on one of my EX2010 switches. So it's a 10-port switch. It has 8 access ports and 2 output ports. If you look at the top middle of the screen, you can see I have 2 ports active, exciting. On port 3, I have a switch that is drawing PoE power. It has a little lightning symbol there. And port 8, that's my network uplink port. Anyway, if this was a live demo, I can hover the mouse over this port, and then it brings up this pop-up window. Very cool, gives you a lot of information about that port. I could click on the port, and it brings up another screen with stats on just that one port. But there are stats on this overall switch that it shows you here. It can show you the last 24 hours or you can even change it to the last hour. And it shows you uptime, how much has been transmitted, how much has been received, has there been any packet errors. This packet distribution pie chart over on the right side, this tells you what type of traffic have you been receiving, broadcast, multicast, unicast, that type of thing. And then a little bit below that, the usage, transmit and receive, day by day, it shows you how much traffic you've received or transmitted. That's pretty nice. Let's say one day it totally spikes, that might cause you to go, hey, what's going on there? And you can dive in and click and go a little bit deeper. Okay, let's see, let me go back. And also total bytes by port. It also shows that as well. Moving on to the next screen here. Now this is where we start viewing virtual stacks. So I can look at all my switch groups. So as I said, I have 11 switches. Well, out of those 11 switches, I've just been playing with it. I've created 6 different groups of switches, or 6 different virtual stacks. So my home network, I have 3. It shows you this second column. It shows you how many switches you have and how many are offline. But anyway, at home, they're all working, 0 out of 3. Tam, my workmate, he has 2 switches, and one of his switches is offline. And then my stack at work, which is only 2 switches, I have 0 of 2 are offline, so total of 2 switches, and so on. A very useful display. Now, it also shows you on these virtual stacks how many ports are up. 5 of 30 are up, so not a lot, not exciting, but it tells you. Or 9 of 62, 2 of 38. It tells you what VLANs or how many VLANs are created on that switch. So I have 7 VLANs created on my home network. And how many of my PoE ports are active? How many of them are actually delivering PoE power? Anyway, on all these views that I'm showing you, if you look at the right-hand side, there's this little box here in the far right. That's the column chooser. There's additional information that you can display as well. So you can add columns, you can remove columns, and so on. This is also the screen where you can create new switch groups, import switch groups, export switch groups, and so on. Okay, next screen. Okay, so now I clicked on one of my virtual stacks. This is my home network. It's not very exciting, but on this left-hand side, you can see this pie chart. It's 100%. I have 3 switches, and they're all the same type of switch. So not very pretty, but anyway, good indication. It tells me about these switches in my virtual stack. What is the CPU utilization? Right? What is the PoE consumption on a per device basis? Packet count, error count, and byte count on a per port basis, and so on. Now this screen here is only for this one virtual stack. So I clicked down on that. Another screen. So this is the statistics on the ports of my switch group or virtual stack. So I have 3 switches at home. They're 10-port switches, so I have a total of 30 ports. But imagine if you had 10 48-port switches or 10 52-port switches. You'd have 520 ports to view. So how do you view 520 ports? Well, this interface makes it very easy. I can sort the ports based on any one of these columns. Operational state. I can even filter. Let's say I want to see only the ports that are up, or I want to see only the ports that are down. Or I can sort the ports. Like here in this view, I've sorted the ports on my unicast package, right? So port 3, 1, 7, and 8 of, of my 3 switches have received the most. Those are the only ports that are up, actually. But that's how many packets I've received. Shows multicast, broadcast, errors. So on one switch, I did have 1 error. I might want to double click and find out what's going on there. Anyway, so that's a switch port view. Now remember, this is a virtual stack, so it's not limited to just the ports of one unit. You're looking at the ports across all the units in your virtual stack. All right, quick summary, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So what do we have with these CN Matrix switches? So these are enterprise grade switches, fully featured, advanced features, layer 2 and layer 3 switching functionality. When it comes to layer 3, it's not just static routes, we support dynamic routing. Cloud management. Again, cloud management pretty popular for Wi-Fi access points, not as popular for switches. We have cloud management for both with our CN Maestro that can run on-premise or in the cloud. So manage your Wi-Fi access points and your switches with a single pane of glass. Ease of use. The ease of use theme is very important to us. We spend a lot of time on this one. And with PBA, it really does give you a zero-touch experience, not just for the initial deployment of the switch, but a zero-touch experience every time you need to add a new device to your network, move a device from one port to another port, one port from one switch to another port of another switch. You just physically do that, unplug the cable, plug it in somewhere else, totally automated. enhanced security. So this zero touch, the PBA, it really does enhance the security for your network. You know, we auto profile these devices. We can auto detect the device type. And based on the policies, we will auto segment that device into the correct network, the correct VLAN. Port accidentally being configured and putting the device on a network it shouldn't be on, a sensitive network, like the finance network or something like that. You know, this access layer of your network, the enterprise edge, Cambium really does have a very comprehensive solution for you today with our Ethernet switching, CN Matrix, with our Wi-Fi access, CN Pilot, and Xeris access points, and then the management solution that manages it. Okay, limited lifetime warranty, 5 years, best in class support. It really does give you the best in class total cost of ownership. Again, every feature I've talked about today is included in the base price of the switch. No subscription fees, no licensing fees. So there you go. So that's what I have for today. Yeah, right on time. So Julie, let me hand it back over to you for Q&A.
Thank you very much, John. We enjoyed that presentation. Thank you again for all of that. And it looks like I've got some questions here for you. Let's get started with the first one. Is your cloud management free or is it a subscription-based solution? Yes. Yes. John, first question. Is your cloud management free or is it a subscription-based solution? Hello, John?
Hello, Julie.
Hi, John, I'm here. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Let's see what we can do. I'm assuming everyone out there can hear me, although
John, I can hear you.
See if I can turn that on. Julie usually takes care of this.
Yes, John, I'm here. Hello. John, let me know when you can hear me. I've got questions ready to go.
Okay, so Julie, I can't hear you. Maybe you can send me a text message or a chat message.
Sure, let me.
Chat box here.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Is your
Okay. Bear with us, folks. We'll work through this.
John, if you can hear me, I sent you the question in chat.
Okay, Julie, I'm not sure what else to try here. Oh, in the chat window, I do see a question that just came up. The cloud management is free. So our CN Maestro 4 CN Matrix is free. It comes with the base price of the switch. It is not subscription based. So absolutely everything I mentioned today is included in the base price of the switch. So thank you for typing in that question. I did see it in the chat box. I don't see the question box, so anyone that's entering questions in the question box, you'll have to retype it in the chat box.
John, I'm checking again if you can hear me. John, I'm checking again if you can hear me. I put another question in the chat box. I'm here, John.
I have one more idea to try. Bear with me, folks. Okay. Anyway, maybe we lost Julie.
Nope,
Any other
I'm still
questions? If
here,
there's any other
John.
questions, please type them into the chat window. Oh, here, just
It's
got a
in
message
there,
from Julie.
John.
Let's see. Okay, so thank you, Julie. So just got a message from Julie. I can't hear her, but anyway, she's going to put the questions into the chat box, and I will answer them as they come up. Okay, there's a question about the automation that I talked about. So this automation, this is policy-based automation. And when we profile a device, we learn about that device. It doesn't matter what vendor's device that is. So we will do this for Cambium devices for sure. And actually, I didn't talk about it today, but there's a little bit more that we can do for Cambium devices. But we support this automation for any device that's out there. You can buy your video surveillance cameras from anyone you want. In fact, Cambium doesn't sell video surveillance cameras. So you can buy your access points hopefully from Cambium or anyone, video surveillance cameras. Or let's talk about IoT devices. So now there's thousands of devices that you can plug into your switch. Yeah, we can create policies for any one of those device types, any one of those devices, and have a policy for each different device. There's no limit on the number of devices we support. So we can set up the QoS settings. You know, video surveillance cameras can have a certain QoS setting, security setting, put all of our video surveillance traffic onto a separate VLAN, and so on. Okay, next question. CMatrix 3.0 will only support. Oh, I'm sorry. So CMatrix 3.0 is our next software release. This is a really good question, so thank you. So for CMatrix, the software across all of our switches is the same. We use the exact same code base. And the executable image is the exact same for all 8 of our switches. We have 8 switches now. So the code, when it's executing, will dynamically detect what switch it's running on, how many ports there is, and so on and so forth. So this is a really big win for our customers. It's very convenient. You just have one image to download on any switch. It's also a really big win for our engineering team. When they develop this software, you know, it doesn't matter what switch the customer buys, the same software is getting executed and exercised. It makes our software much more robust, helps our testing team, and we only have to implement everything once that works on all switches. Next question here, okay. Yes, the 5-year warranty covers hardware and software. Next question, do all products come with CN Maestro? Yes. When you buy 1 switch or 100 switches or 200 switches, you get CN Maestro, comes with it. It's free. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions so far. Julie, I don't know what happened to my speakers here. I don't know why I can't hear you. I apologize, but this seems to be working. Okay, here's one more question that just came in. Can I separate multiple networks on one login? Let's see. I'm not sure I understand the question. Oh, yes, you can, if I understand the question correctly. So with CN Maestro, I have a single CN Maestro account. And in my single CN Maestro account, I can be managing, let's say I'm a managed service provider and I have, 15 different customers and I'm managing their networks. that can be managed from my one account, right? So within my account, I can manage across those 15 customers. Let's say each customer has 30 switches, right? So whatever the math is there, 450 switches. So those 450 switches all can be in my one account. Now I can divide those switches by site within CNMaestro. I didn't talk about that feature. Those switches can be, every switch can be a standalone switch, or all the switches on a per customer basis. I could create, group those switches into a virtual stack. But anyway, yeah, I think I answered your question. So those multiple networks at multiple different customers can be managed with my single account, so a single login for me. Now, I think that's the last question. So anyway, big thanks to everybody. I really appreciate your time. And if you want to dive deeper on any one of these topics or have follow-up questions, please contact Julie and she can, hook us up. So anytime, it's my pleasure. So thank you again, everybody. I appreciate your time. And I guess that will be it for today. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.